his first newborn hearing screen at the hospital. Then he failed 2 more. After telling us not to worry, it was probably just fluid buildup, we were discharged from the hospital with a referral to our local audiologist. As a mother, I was just about inconsolable. I think we all knew something was wrong. We just didn't realize how big that something was. We saw the audiologist for the first time when Abbott was 4 weeks old. Longest appointment ever. After performing several shorter tests, then an ABR that took over 2 hours, the audiologist matter-of-factly announced that she got no responses. Being naive and having no idea what all these tests were, I thought, and said out loud, "No responses. That's a good thing, right?" The audiologist shook her head no. "So he didn't hear anything?" Again, she shook her head no. "So are you telling me our son is deaf?" "Yes," she said. As she was leaving the room, she handed my husband and I a book, instructed us to read it thoroughly, and to call her in a week. No responses. He can't hear. He's deaf. 1,000 thoughts and emotions were swirling through my mind and body. For lack of not knowing how else to react, I cried. Not just cried, but sobbed, an uncontrollable sob. Standing in the audiology room, I truly thought my world had come to a halt. We didn't have a single person in our family with hearing loss. So how could this be? Then I very quickly became angry. Why my son? Why our family? Why? For the longest time, anger consumed every fiber of my being. It was almost overpowering. I was worried about him being picked on in school. Would he be able to hear the church choir singing Amazing Grace? Would he be able to have a normal childhood or attend a normal classroom? All these thoughts tormented me and kept me awake at night. My way of dealing with this diagnosis was to dive headfirst into action. My husband and I knew immediately and without hesitation that we wanted Abbott to one day be able to listen and speak. We knew that cochlear implants would give him the best opportunity to achieve that goal, and so began our journey. Before long, we had fulfilled all the requirements for getting a cochlear implant, except one small detail, that dirty 4-letter word, insurance. We needed approval from our insurance company. As expected, we were denied. Abbott was much younger than the FDA recommended age of implantation of 1 year. He hadn't even celebrated his 1.5-year-old birthday yet. It was unfathomable to me that he would have to wait until he was a year old to hear my voice. We filed an appeal with insurance and won, and at just 5 months and 1 week old, Abbott received his first cochlear implant. He was activated and heard our voices for the first time 1 month later. We knew immediately that Abbott was getting benefit from his implant. In no time at all, he was turning to his name, recognizing strange noises in our home, and at just shy of a year old, he said his first words. Naturally, that word was Mama. At 11.5 months old, Abbott was implanted on his other side. We spent the first 2 years traveling 3 hours one way from our home once a week for therapy appointments. It wasn't easy, and I cried myself to sleep on more than one occasion, but he was thriving. He was hearing, and he was speaking. With each passing day, Abbott's vocabulary got larger and larger. Eventually, he began to string simple sentences together and then paragraphs. Fast forward to today, and in August 2015, he will begin kindergarten in a fully mainstream class, his only accommodation being an FM system. We turned a baby that couldn't hear into a 4-year-old that never shuts up. In fact, one of my proudest mommy moments was when we got a note sent home from daycare that he had to sit in timeout that day for talking too much. I know I shouldn't have, but in my mind, I was secretly high-fiving my little guy for getting in trouble for talking. While we certainly didn't ask to be thrust into the world of hearing loss, we've been tremendously blessed to be surrounded by some of the most caring and supportive professionals, friends, co-workers, and parents one could imagine. I couldn't imagine going through this process without the support of other parents that we've met in real life or online. All of us have a common goal, and that's to help our little ones lead happy and successful lives, achieving whatever goals they set their little hearts to achieve. Cochlear implants have changed our lives in ways that words simply can't adequately describe. The look on Abbott's face when he heard our voices for the first time made all the tears, struggles, fights with insurance, fears, time off work, miles logged to and from appointments. It made it all worth it, and we feel so blessed to have such an amazing success story to share with people like you. Abbott may have been born deaf, but he has proven to all of us that he was simply waiting to hear.